Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Legend of Korra Book 3 Change episode review. This one's going to be for K311, The Ultimatum, the 11th episode of Book 3 Change. That means that there is just 1 week to go until the end of Book 3, because episode 12, Enter the Void, and episode 13, Venom of the Red Lotus, are both going to go online next Friday. So end of book 3 next week. But anyway, this was an amazing episode. I really did enjoy this one a lot. It was packed full of emotion, intensity, and that was just basically the second half of the episode, the last like 10 or so minutes. Super intense fight scene, and it was definitely far and away one of the best sequences of Korra we've seen ever. Like potentially one of the best sequences of Avatar I think we've seen ever, just in terms of like nearly 10 full minutes devoted to just covering one section of the episode and various parts of that happening. And then the first half of the episode was a little bit more laid back, but it still had all these nice moments, like Mako Bolin saving their family, the reunion of Team Avatar, and all the characters just coming together, because you have a kind of big group of them there, Team Avatar plus Zuko, Tonraq, and Lin. Then, you know, all those other little moments, like the little Avatar The Last Airbender moments between Zuko and Korra, and Korra and Iroh. They were really nice, and just then transitioning that into the super action-packed, emotional second half of the episode was made for one of the best episodes of the book so far, I think. This was kind of like book 3's version of turning the tides, in terms of, you know, like that episode that brings you on this emotional roller coaster. Definitely, that's probably the best comparison I can make. But yeah, let's get into some specifics on the episode. I think there's pretty much only one place to start, and that is the last couple of minutes of this episode. The Red Lotus is revealed that their ultimatum is that if Korra doesn't basically give herself up to Zahir, he's going to wipe out the air nomads at the Northern Air Temple. And so he heads there because Korra can't make it in time, and we're left with this amazing confrontation of the group of 4 Red Lotus members arrive at the Air Temple on the airship, and it's left for Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi, basically the Katang kids, to fend them off, while Peli from the airship basically stops everyone else from escaping. It made for this really cool set piece moment where it wasn't just a mismatched fight like 4-on-3, it was just 3-on-3, and then the other member of the Red Lotus was hindering all the other air nomads from escaping. It was really kind of well planned out from their point of view, but it made for a lot of drama because Peli has been set up as just this near unstoppable kind of person when it comes to bending, and especially that high up, like there was very little anyone could do until obviously Kai took matters into his own hands. But yeah, just a 3-on-3 fight was amazing. Obviously it split off fairly early after the start, but what you really get here was that Tenzin was actually beating Zahir in a kind of one-on-one airbender match, showing that a master airbender is better than whatever you would call Zahir at airbending. Maybe master, but an enthusiast maybe for airbending. Zahir, that a master airbender beats that style of airbending, and that was really cool to see. Like, it wasn't like that he absolutely destroyed him in the fight. It was very even, but it was clear to see that all the hits getting in were from Tenzin. He was I thought they did a really good job at just comparing the different kind of styles. Like, Zahir is much more kind of flip, kind of gymnastics focused, while Tenzin was very much that kind of Bagua style. Like, Zahir, the big thing I noticed in the fight was that Zahir, when he jumped up, he always landed before doing a move, while Tenzin would like jump up, do a move, land, do a move, and like there was a lot of transitions, while Zahir didn't really have that. So it made for a really cool fight scene between the two. And before Tenzin could potentially get the complete advantage over Zahir, you cut to the other fights happening: Minghua versus Kaya, and then Bumi versus Gazan. And these were really interesting too, because with Bazumi, what am I talking about. With Boomy versus Gazan, you saw that Boomy has developed a lot since we last saw the Airbenders in episode 7. He's not like amazing, but he was doing some really cool moves, like just in terms of the dodging. Like he's the oldest one of the Catan kids, and he was just kind of flipping all over the place with these moves. And he has just this really unique style where like he did that cool move where he just kind of like used airbending to slide between Gazan's legs and then kind of jump up behind him. So like there was this kind of moment, like then he puts him in the kind of sleeper hold type thing, kind of trying to choke him. That was really cool, but then obviously Gazan got the advantage. But it was just nice to see that Boomy, even though he's nowhere near being a master yet, can somewhat take on Gazan on some sort of a level. Then the battle between the Master Waterbenders, Minghua versus Kaya, that was cool as well because Minghua was clearly the better waterbender, just because you can sense that there's a greater connection to the element just through her kind of disability and what she has to do to combat that. But there were some just cool moves as well in that the fact that Minghua has to always have the water connected to herself allows her to have a very unique style and be like perfect at that. But ultimately what like Kaya got the advantage in the fight midway through was because Minghua was just focused on what she was doing, and then Kaya was making a bit of some water kind of come in from the side, which Minghua I don't think she can do just because of the way her own waterbending works, because she doesn't have arms herself. She can't really kind of direct water that she's not attached to as such, I think. But that was just a cool move for Kaya to get the advantage. And then the kind of complete mastery of the kind of octopus form of waterbending was a really kind of cool way to like, Minghua's getting serious here. Like she hasn't had to use this all book, but against Kaya she has to resort to this to kind of get the advantage. And Boomy and Kaya are taken out. It was just this kind of really. What I really liked about the fight at the end, as I said, the intensity, the emotion, was that as the Catan kids were kind of getting beaten down, the animation reflected that. It's not something we've seen often, especially in Avatar: The Last Airbender. We didn't see it that often. It was very much only special occasions when it happened. In Korra, they're a bit more kind of willing to do this, show the effects of a fight on a person's face, on their clothing a lot. And you could see how beaten up everyone was by the end, and it was just very emotional because, like, you really felt like, because we don't know for sure where any of these characters like go, that any of them could potentially die at any moment. So when the two of them go off the edge, Pali is kind of closing in on them. You kind of think, wow, they're not gonna make it out of this, and at the end they just barely make it out. They have to kind of fall down a mountain to avoid being blown up. And that kind of takes them out of the fight, leaving it 3-on-1 against Tenzin. And he fights as hard as he can, but he's no match for all three of them at once. And he just gets like, completely beaten down. Like him by the end of the episode, like they cut away, like they showed it, like they're beating up on him while the wall kind of comes into view. I'm kind of a little scared to see Tenzin at the start of like the next episode or anything like that. Like it was really intense. And then there was the moment where he says the line, I won't stop fighting until like I stop breathing or something like that. And I'm like, oh no, Zahir's going to do this thing to Tenzin as well that he did to the Earth Queen. But thankfully they didn't do that. But wow, I'm sure that line was written specifically because they knew that's what fans would react to. But yeah, and then the other side of this kind of scene was Pema, Kai and Jinora basically leading everyone back to the Bisons, and they were obviously trapped by Pali, and Kai makes the big move, the heroic move to just distract Pali, to let everyone kind of run across to the Bisons. It doesn't end up working, but you got a really cool sense of, like, another comparison between Aang and Kai, which I think is really being played up now at this point, the kind of selflessness and stuff like that. And he's fighting kind of Pali in the air with the glider, kind of stopping her from hitting the people running across. And then you get the moment where he gets hit and kind of falls down the mountain, the last thing we haven't seen from the trailer, that moment. And the reaction from Jinora was just like, oh, why am I watching this? This is so kind of emotional and like hard to watch, because like there is a relationship set up between those two, and her effectively seeing as far as she was wearing, seeing Kai die was just like, wow, that's a lot of emotion from like a 10, 11 year old, like really intense. And then when after this happens, she immediately kind of explodes near the bison, and they kind of go away. So then we're just like, oh no, everyone's captured here. This is terrible. Like, what's going to happen next? And then the way the episode ends, it wasn't like the most amazing cliffhanger, but it was just interesting that this is the way they did it. That Kai is saved by one of the baby bison that he helped to save in episode 7. That was cool to see that bison is basically his now. That's something I did predict, so I'm really happy about that. And then they're potentially going off to alert someone or something like that. The key thing I'm just wondering about is like, okay, Kai, as far as everyone's aware, Kai is dead. Like, that's basically the situation that's happening right now. But what does Kai, no one knowing about Kai, give the advantage? Like, is he going to save everyone, like sudden surprise attack with like Sky Bison and stuff like that? Or is he going to go to Korra and kind of be part of that group and lead like the attack to free everyone, or what? That's what I'm not really sure about just now. But yeah, crazy emotional. I think when everyone sees this episode, this is going to be the most talked about part of the episode. Just the Catan kids getting beaten up a lot, but also moments like Tenzin getting the better of Zahir at points in that fight. But that's just the last 10 minutes of the episode. There's still like a lot to cover before then. Mako and Bolin being tasked to deliver the message. They get the airship, and then as they're kind of going over the city, they see how bad things are and that people are actually setting the city on fire. And I think this is kind of what you see, like as much as the Red Lotus have a point about corrupt world leaders, just the fact that the leader was taken down led to so much rioting, that the people are in danger because of such anarchy that people are willing to set buildings on fire. And then like I found it interesting that the Yin and their Mako and Bolin's grandmother wasn't willing to leave because she's so entrenched that that's her home and stuff like that, and she wasn't willing to let any of the rest of her family go either, and they were trying to convince her. Like that was interesting. And then eventually the decision is kind of like made, like Bolin tries to convince her that once you're around family, it's home, and then he has to like grab her, and then she tries to make the airship her home. It's a kind of funny but also emotional part of the episode, and it was just a nice way to bring their family back into things after a good few episodes since they left them. Like, I like that it wasn't just this plot point, like they've met their family, that's cool, we'll just ignore them. That it was a big thing. Like, we saw a good few minutes of like their whole family searching for the airship, and that's how they eventually find their way to the Misty Palms Oasis. And then we get the reunion scene, which is really cool because you just get to see that, okay, Team Avatar has been separated after, another dramatic scene. You see, I suppose a key thing here was that Mako and Korra, Mako wasn't as awkward around the girls until he realized, like, wait, I'm hugging her, I shouldn't be doing this, like, and he just backs off. He's definitely becoming more comfortable around the group, which is what was set up in the earlier episode, that he felt uncomfortable in the group, especially around Korra and Asami. And then they played up the joke with Yin thinking Asami was Korra, and then asking Mako, why aren't you dating one of these girls? And he's just like, yeah, I dated both of them last season. Or something like that. That was a kind of funny joke. And then Bolin going crazy over meeting Zuko was cool. And then from there, with everyone together, the main part of this episode was you get kind of Korra's moment of the episode. She goes into the spirit world to try and find Zahir and like contact him and say, basically tell him, I'm willing to kind of submit myself to you, don't hurt the airbenders. But instead she meets Iroh, and she just kind of reveals she doesn't know what to do. And she's the first Avatar since Wan not to be able to contact her past lives. And then Iroh brings up the point about, Korra says, I can't speak to Aang, and then Iroh says, you can't speak to Aang, but Zuko was Aang's best friend. They started off rough, but in the end they were super close friends, best friends. And then Korra has the idea to go speak to Zuko. That was a really just cool moment, just like, you get that reference, like Iroh talking about Zuko, and then later on Zuko talking about Iroh. cool connection, possibly setting up something for season 4, maybe the end of this season, who knows. But then she goes to speak to Zuko, and you get the kind of moment where, you know, I was Aang's counsel, and I would love to be your counsel too. And he says that Aang's dream all along was to rebuild the Air Nation, and he would have done anything to protect that. But even though it was closest to his heart, he put being the Avatar ahead of that. And so again, he doesn't give Korra the perfect advice, but just tells her, you know, that you need to be the Avatar that the Avatar is needed most at this moment, and she makes her decision based on that. It was just a very cool moment. And then she mentions, you know, like, your uncle told me this, and then Zuko's like, wait, what? My uncle? You spoke to my uncle? So it'd be really cool if they did get to meet up in the spirit world. That would just be a really strong moment if that ever happened. But yeah, this episode was just packed with all these little emotional moments at the start, and then just, you know, it just pounded you into the ground with the emotional moments near the end of the episode. It was very intense. Really excited to see more of the fandom's reaction to the episode. I haven't seen a massive amount. Because it's very early, the episode's not up on Nick.com yet, only on Amazon. But yeah, definitely in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. I really did enjoy this episode because it did perfectly set up the finale. Now, the things are in this really crazy position, like you're wondering, kind of like, is Tenzin, after this beating, going to be able to fight back? What sort of a state is Jinora going to be in, not knowing if Kai's okay? What's Kai actually going to do himself? What are Bumi and Kaya going to do? They seem to have maybe, like, separated them from the rest, like they're on the bottom of the mountain, basically. How are they going to get back up? Does everyone think they're dead? There's definitely the potential for, like, a surprise, like, attack. Maybe, like, Kai, Bumi, and Kaya kind of attack back with some of the Sky Bison or something like that. And then, of course, Zuko's going back to see his daughter to protect her from the Red Lotus. What's everyone else gonna do? Like, we got the kind of, sort of got the plan from what they were gonna do, but like, where are they going? Are we heading back to Ba Sing Se? Are we heading to Air Temple? Things are really set up for the finale now, and obviously both episodes next week. I'm super excited. Obviously disappointing that the book's coming to an end, you know, so soon, just because of all the double episodes, and now we're ending with a double episode. But finales are always built up and exciting because you do get the 2 episodes at the same time. And usually Avatar finales are the last 2 episodes are so connected together, and this is definitely going to be the case here. So yeah, that's been the review. Thanks for watching, and bye.